guys, sorry if I'm a little bit disheveled, but I just finished a hike, and maybe I'll post some of the pictures on my Facebook page. It's somewhere on my channel, but I really wanted to make this video. It was inspired by a comment that I received on one of my first videos, which is my story about being raped by my best friend. And so this video will start off about comments, but I'll actually get into another incident that happened that's actually part of that video. So there's more to the story afterwards. But back to the comment. Now I have to start off by saying that if I had to guess, over 99% of the comments that I've received have been extremely empathetic and kind and wonderful. And those of you who have shared your own story, I am super honored that you were able to come to my video, to my channel, and find a safe place for you to tell that story. Some of you for the first time. It really, really, really does mean the world to me. So thank you for that. And when I was considering posting these videos on YouTube, obviously there was a part of me that had to make sure that I was strong enough to handle the inevitable troll comments, you know. And with all the wonderful ones, I've received a few trolls. Again, not many, but I have received the whole, you know, you wanted it, or you're gay so you deserved it, or just finding the whole situation funny. I received those, and they don't bother me in the least. That's an easy remove, you know. But I've also received a few comments, and again, not many, but just a few that have been more in line with the I think it was more of a misunderstanding than anything. And so initially my thought was, did I leave something out of the video? I really thought maybe I did, for someone to think that it was a misunderstanding. And for some of you who already know this, I don't watch my videos. I record and I post, and I don't want to review them. So for this instance, I thought, okay, I read the transcript of the video and I'm going through the words, and I thought, no, I think I hit all the points that I needed to hit. So initially I would try to engage with those comments, and it just never ended well. So I also decided that with those comments, I wouldn't respond. Last week, or the middle of last week, I did receive a comment, and it was along the lines of, I think it was a misunderstanding. And I was gonna ask them if I could post a comment in this video and talk about it, but that person has since removed the comment, and that's fine. But I still wanted to make this video and talk about it. The gist of that comment was, I think it was a misunderstanding, and here's why. And there were 2 points. The first point was, well, since you're gay, do you think that your best friend knew that you were gay without you telling him? And so maybe that's why he thought that you wanted it. And then secondly, something along the lines of, I don't remember you saying anything that he hit you or that he tied you up, so I'm not sure where the rape came into it. And so of course, for a split second, I couldn't believe that this person was saying this. But then I had an epiphany, and the epiphany was that that's exactly what I would say to myself for years. You know, like, no one was better at gaslighting that situation or minimizing it or denying it than me. I didn't want that situation to be true. And for a long time, I thought if I could find, you know, I would go through every second of that night thinking if I could find some way so that it wasn't this horrible thing, then maybe all of that pain and the hurt that I was feeling, maybe the way that that event affected other parts of my life, maybe all that would go away. But you know, the funny thing about trauma is that it doesn't care what you call it, right? It doesn't care how hard you try to downplay the situation or water it down. You receive the trauma for a specific reason. And what I've learned in doing the work and getting over the situation is that in order to do that, you have to face it head on, and you have to call it what it is. You know, if not, it's kind of like you're a horse, but the blinders are in front of you. And until you remove that blinder and you meet it head on, you'll never get over it, because you're going to be fighting something that isn't true. So Then I thought, okay, I wanted to start this video, or start this part of the video, by actually going through the definition of rape. And I'm gonna put on these glasses now. Am I doing it to look smart and studious, or am I just an old person who needs glasses to read? I'm not telling, but this is off of dictionary.com, the definition of rape. And it's unlawful sexual intercourse or any other sexual penetration of the different body parts without the consent of the person subjected to such penetration. And so the most important word of that definition is consent. So it doesn't matter ultimately whether I was gay, I was not, I was attracted to him, I was not, whether he used minimal force or extreme force. None of that matters. That's all trauma, of course, is traumatic stuff, a different type. But the trauma of this situation was a lack of consent, and especially from someone that you knew. That actually, to me, makes it worse. The way that my brain works is that I always make like a visual analogy of the situation, and so this is what popped into my head. Just go along with me here, humor me. But it's kind of like if you, and we'll just use two people for this scenario, but two people are looking at the sign destination sex 50 miles away, right? And you're both like, do you want to go there? Yeah, I think maybe I do. Do you want to go? Yeah, sure, let's get in. So you both get in the car and you're on this road trip, and you decide to call the road trip foreplay, right? So you're going on this trip. Now, if at any point, either party decides, you know what, stop the car, or I don't want to go anymore, or turn around, or let me out of the car. If at any point someone says that, then the other person should just do that, right? If not, there's no consent, and that's rape. Also, I want to say that if you're on this journey, and let's say you're both singing and dancing and just happy, and the driver at one point realizes that the person is no longer being happy, no longer singing and dancing, and they look over and they're just frozen and just pulling away, I don't know if you technically call that rape, but you might want to pull over and ask, right? Hey, is everything okay? Are you fine? But either way, in my situation, my specific situation, I didn't even have the choice of getting in the car, right? The road trip wasn't even offered to me. I was just taken to the destination and pushed in, right? Because I think one of the things that might be confusing is that when I said that we would flirt sometimes, I meant that in context of our relationship through the years. That night, none of that went on. There was no flirting that night. It just happened the same way that the video says it did, with the lights off, with no conversation, no indication of anything, that anything would go on. So I hope that cleared things up, that it wasn't a misunderstanding. Maybe there was confusion, maybe there was a little bit of sexual exploration. Another thing that I do have to say though is that whether or not I've forgiven him, whether or not I think he's a bad person, whether or not I've moved on, that all can be true. I could be in a comfortable place with him, but that doesn't change the situation. It doesn't change what happened, you know? So you can't water it down just because you're cool. It's kind of like if your best friend or your mother steals from you and you go, well, I'm not gonna put too much effort, energy into that. It's okay, that's fine, but they still stole from you, and you can't just water it down just because you guys are cool. But I wanted to end this video with a continuation of that story. I decided not to mention it in the first video, just because I didn't think I needed to, but it makes sense with what I'm saying now. So picking up, after that incident, we didn't talk, right? The friendship was over and we didn't talk, but I started to make other friends, right? And hanging out with them as well. And one particular guy, me and him got super close, and he became, like, I guess you would say, my new best friend. Well, at the time that was happening, my sister came up to me and said, hey, is something going on with you and my new best friend? Like something odd. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So then she goes, hey, your old best friend said that you and him were doing stuff together. Now, mind you, we weren't friends anymore. I wasn't talking to him about anything that was going on in my new best friend. He just saw us hanging out together. I got super mad, you know. I couldn't believe, like, why are you still in my life? That's really what I was thinking. So after I confronted him, I did. Like, that next time I saw him, I said, hey, we need to talk. And I said, why are you saying this? And he goes, well, is it true? Like, I think, you know, I know it's true. I know you guys are doing stuff together. I know you're fooling around. And I said, well, did you happen to tell her what was happening with you and I? What happened with you and I? And he said, no. And he goes, what, are you going to tell her? Are you going to tell her that I raped you? Now, at this point, again, we didn't talk. I never used the word rape. I didn't even accept it at the time. I had to bring that part of it up just to let you know that even in his mind, even though he said to me that night, I thought you wanted this and I'm sorry, and he cried, the fact that he was thinking the same thing, I think it's important to say that because it adds an extra layer as far as what was his view of what happened that night. And again, it's not, I'm over it, and I have forgiven him, and I don't hold that type of animosity towards him, but it is what it is, and I think even he knows that it was what it was, you know. So I think that's it for this story. I just wanted to clarify some things and just to give some additional information. After that conversation, though, that was the last conversation that we had, and we never spoke again. And that is what it is. So please like, comment, subscribe. Especially comment. Let me know if you had a similar situation. I know some of you have. I've read your stories about what happened after the rape, and so I know some of you have. And if any more of you have, I'd love to hear your stories as well. But yeah, that's it for now.